June 15, 2024. 20 years later, rain drums against the hotel window like fingertips on skin. Emma stands there, watching droplets race down the glass, her reflection wavering in the storm. 20 years, 20 meetings, and still, her pulse quickens at the sound of his footsteps in the hallway. She knows it's him before he knocks. 3 soft taps, a pause, then 2 more. Their code since year 7, when they'd started meeting in places that mattered instead of the same college bar where it all began. "It's open," she calls, not turning around. The door clicks. She hears him set down his keys, shed his jacket. In the reflection, she watches David pause, taking her in. The black dress that skims her curves, the way her dark hair falls loose. Instead of the tight bun from her courtroom days, she's changed since last June. They both have. "You look," his voice catches. "Different." Now she turns. God, he's beautiful. 42 looks good on him, silver threading through those impossible dark curls. Laugh lines deeper around green eyes that still undress her soul with a glance. But there's something else, a weight in his shoulders that wasn't there last year. "So, do you?" She moves closer. Close enough to catch his scent, cedar and rain, and something uniquely him. "How's Sarah?" His jaw tightens. "We divorced in March." The words hang between them like a held breath. Emma's chest constricts, not from surprise. She'd sensed the cracks last year, but from the dangerous hope blooming beneath her ribs. "And Marcus?" David asks quietly. "We ended things in February." She lifts her chin, meeting his gaze. Turns out 20 years of annual meetings with another man doesn't make for a trusting marriage. A ghost of a smile touches his lips. "Imagine that." The rain intensifies, creating their cocoon of sound. They're standing too close now, drawn together by invisible threads spun over to decades of almosts and maybes. His hand lifts, fingertips hovering near her cheek. His voice is rough velvet. "Don't." She steps back, but her eyes never leave his. "Not yet. We have rules, remember? Fuck the rules." The curse falls from his lips like a prayer. "Do you know what it's been like? 20 years of wanting you for one night, then walking away for 364 days. Her breath catches. He's never said it so plainly before. Never stripped away the pretense that these meetings are just about friendship, about staying connected. They both know better, have always known. "David, tell me you feel it too." He steps closer, backing her against the window. The glass is cool against her spine, but his proximity sets her skin on fire. "Tell me these 20 years haven't been the slow burn of the century." She looks up at him. This man who's been her constant, her annual salvation, her sweetest torture. Rain streaks down the window behind her like tears. "You know I do." The admission escapes before she can catch it. "But we agreed. We were kids when we made that agreement. Scared kids playing it safe." His thumb traces the air just above her cheekbone, not quite touching. "I'm tired of safe, Emma. I'm tired of pretending that one night a year is enough." Thunder rolls overhead. She closes her eyes, feeling the world shift beneath her feet. When she opens them, everything has changed. The same night, 20 years of history. "Tell me about the first year," she whispers, her voice barely audible over the storm. David's eyes darken. He knows what she's doing, buying time, creating distance with memory. But he plays along because even this dance of advance and retreat sets his blood on fire. "You remember." His hand drops to brace against the window beside her head. She's trapped now, surrounded by his warmth, his scent, the magnetic pull they've fought for 2 decades. "I want to hear you say it." He leans closer, his breath fanning across her ear. June 15th, 2005, graduation night. "You wore that blue dress that made your eyes look like sapphires." Her breath hitches. "You noticed my dress." "I noticed everything." His lips barely graze her temple as he speaks. "How you tucked your hair behind your left ear when you were nervous. How you bit your bottom lip when Tommy Henderson asked you to dance. How you looked at me when I cut in." She remembers. God. She remembers the way her pulse had stuttered when his hands found her waist. The way the crowded dance floor had disappeared until it was just them, swaying to music that seemed written for that moment alone. "We were drunk." She protests weakly. "Were we?" His free hand finds the wall on her other side, caging her completely. "Or were we finally honest?" The hotel room seems to shrink around them. 20 years of suppressed longing thickens the air between them like honey. Emma's palms flatten against the window behind her, seeking something solid as her world tilts. David, we can't what? His voice drops to a growl that reverberates through her chest. Can't admit that we've been circling each other for 20 years like binary stars. Too afraid to collide. We agreed to be friends that first year. Maybe. What about year 5 when you showed up in that hotel in Paris? Fresh from your breakup with James? You think I didn't see the way you looked at me? Heat floods her cheeks. She'd been reckless that year, raw from heartbreak, and she'd almost, or year 12. He continues relentlessly. When my father died and you held me while I cried. Your lips were right here. His thumb brushes the corner of her mouth. I would have given anything to taste them. Stop. But her body betrays her, leaning into his touch despite her words. Year 15. The rainstorm in Seattle. We were soaked, sharing that tiny umbrella, and when lightning struck, you grabbed my shirt. Your mouth was inches from mine. Inches, Emma. She's breathing hard now, each memory a spark against her skin. We had reasons or excuses. The question hangs between them, loaded with 20 years of what-ifs. Emma stares up into his face, seeing every year reflected there. The boy she fell for during one perfect graduation night. The man she's fallen for again and again. In hotel rooms and coffee shops and park benches around the world. Both, she whispers finally. Something shifts in his expression, surprise, maybe, at her honesty. His hand slides from the wall to cup her face, thumb stroking across her cheekbone. This time, he makes contact. The simple touch sends electricity racing through her veins. Emma, her name on his lips sounds like a question, a plea, a prayer. The storm outside intensifies, lightning illuminating the room in stark white flashes. In those moments of brightness, she sees everything clearly, the want in his eyes, the vulnerability he's finally stopped hiding, the future they've been dancing around for 2 decades. Her resolve cracks like ice in spring. One rule, she breathes, her voice barely steady. If we cross this line, we cross it completely. He finishes. No more goodbyes, no more pretending. The words should terrify her. Instead, they feel like coming home. She nods, not trusting her voice. David's eyes close briefly, as if he's absorbing the magnitude of this moment. When they open again, they're blazing with an intensity that steals her breath. 20 years. He murmurs, his forehead touching hers. I hope you know what you're doing to me. Before she can respond, a sharp knock interrupts them. Room service. They freeze. The spell broken, but not shattered. David's jaw clenches with frustration. Emma's heart pounds against her ribs as reality creeps back in. But this time, she doesn't step away. Minutes later, the dam breaks. Ignore them, Emma whispers, but David is already pulling back. The moment dissolving like sugar in rain. You ordered room service? His voice carries an edge of something between disappointment and disbelief. No. She frowns, still pressed against the window, her body humming with interrupted electricity. Did you? The knock comes again, more insistent. Champagne delivery for room 412? They stare at each other. Room 412. This is for 1-8. Wrong room, David calls out, but his eyes never leave Emma's face. In them, she sees the same realization that's crystallizing in her chest. The universe is giving them one more moment to change their minds, to step back from the precipice they've been approaching for 20 years. Footsteps retreat down the hallway. The silence that follows is deafening. Sign, David asks quietly. Emma's laugh is breathless, slightly hysterical. Since when do you believe in signs? Since I've spent decades telling myself that timing was never right. He steps closer again, drawn back into her orbit. Maybe the universe is tired of our bullshit too. This time, she doesn't let him cage her against the window. Instead, she moves toward him, closing the distance herself. Her hands find his chest, feeling his heartbeat thunder beneath her palms. David, she looks up at him, and 20 years of pretense crumble like ancient walls. I need you to know something. Tell me. That first night, graduation night, when we said it was just the alcohol, just the emotion of ending college. She takes a shaky breath. I lied. His hands come up to frame her face, thumbs stroking across her cheekbones. Let me finish, please. Her voice wavers but doesn't break. I felt it even before that night. In Dr. Peterson's American literature class, when you argued with me about Gatsby. During study groups, when you'd bring me coffee exactly how I liked it even though I'd never told you. The way you looked at me sometimes, like you saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself. You did see it, he murmurs. You just weren't ready to believe it. Neither were you. Her hands slide up to tangle in his hair, the curls as soft as she'd always imagined. We were so young, so scared of ruining what we had. And then life kept happening, other people, other cities, other lives we thought we were supposed to want. But we kept coming back. We kept coming back. The admission feels like exhaling after holding her breath for 20 years. Every June 15th, no matter what else was happening. Through relationships and marriages and divorces and career changes and everything else that should have mattered more but never did. David's eyes are luminous in the dim room. Do you know what you're saying? I'm saying that I've been in love with you since I was 22 years old. The words spill out like water through a broken dam. I'm saying that every man I've ever been with has been measured against you and found wanting. I'm saying that one night a year has never been enough, but it was all I thought I could have for a heartbeat. He goes perfectly still, then his mouth crashes down on hers. The kiss is 20 years in the making, desperate, hungry, tender, and consuming all at once. Emma's knees go weak as his lips move against hers, as his tongue traces the seam of her mouth, as she opens for him like a flower blooming in fast forward. He tastes like whiskey and promises and every dream she's never let herself fully dream. His hands are in her hair, tilting her head to deepen the kiss, and she presses closer, needing to feel every inch of him against her. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rests against hers. I love you too, he whispers. Against her lips, God, Emma, I've loved you so long I don't remember what it felt like not to love you. She kisses him again, softer this time, savoring the taste of the words on his mouth. We're really doing this. We're really doing this. His smile is radiant, boyish, beautiful. No more rules, no more goodbyes, no more a phone buzzes. Then another. They ignore them, lost in each other in 20 years of finally, until the buzzing becomes impossible to ignore. David curses against her mouth. I'm sorry, I have to. It might be about the kids. Reality crashes back in waves. The kids. His children with Sarah. The life he's built. The complications that don't disappear just because they've finally stopped pretending. Emma nods, stepping back to give him space, but her hands shake as she smooths her hair. Everything is about to change, and she's terrified it might change back. Later that night, no more pretending. David's phone call lasts 3 minutes. 3 minutes of watching him pace to the window, his voice low and reassuring as he speaks to his 12-year-old daughter about a nightmare, promising he'll be home by tomorrow evening for their planned movie night. 3 minutes for Emma to remember all the reasons they've kept their distance. When he hangs up, the silence stretches taut between them. Grace had a bad dream, he says quietly, not quite meeting her eyes. She's staying with my sister this week while I'm here. Emma nods, her throat tight. How is she handling the divorce? Better than I expected. Worse than I hoped. He sets the phone aside and turns to face her fully. Emma, I need you to understand my kids come first. They always will, I know, and she does. It's one of the things she's always loved about him. The fierceness with which he protects the people he cares about. I wouldn't expect anything else. And I can't uproot them from Chicago right now. Grace is in 7th grade. Connor's a sophomore. Their whole lives are there. She sees where this is going. Feels the familiar walls starting to rebuild themselves brick by brick. David, but I also can't keep living a lie. He crosses to her into quick strides, taking her hands in his. I can't go back to seeing you once a year and pretending it's enough. I can't go back to measuring every relationship against what we have and finding it lacking. Then what are you saying? His thumbs stroke across her knuckles. I'm saying I want to try, really try. Long distance, complicated schedules. Teenagers who might hate me for disrupting their world again. I want to try. Emma stares down at their joined hands, her heart hammering against her ribs. I live in New York. You're in Chicago. I travel constantly for work, and you have custody every other week. I know, it won't be easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is. She looks up at him then, seeing not just the man she's loved for 20 years, but the future spreading out before them. Like an unmapped country, scary, uncertain, full of obstacles they can't even imagine yet, and absolutely worth fighting for. Okay. She whispers, okay, let's try. Her voice grows stronger. Let's be terrified and hopeful and stupid in love and see what happens. The smile that spreads across his face could power the city. You realize what this means? That we're about to make things incredibly complicated? That we never have to say goodbye again. His hands slide up her arms, leaving trails of fire in their wake. That I get to wake up thinking about you without guilt. That I get to call you on random Tuesday afternoons just to hear your voice. That I get to tell people about you. The thought sends warmth flooding through her chest. The man I'm crazy about, who makes me laugh until my sides hurt and challenges me to be better than I think I can be. That I get to love you out loud instead of in secret. He kisses her then, soft and slow and full of promise. Emma melts against him, her hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. She can taste his smile against her lips, feel the joy radiating through his body like sunlight. I want you to stay, she murmurs against his mouth. Tonight, all of it. Emma. His voice is rough with want. Are you sure? Instead of answering with words, she steps back and slowly, deliberately, reaches for the zipper at the back of her dress. David's breath catches as she draws it down, the sound like a whisper in the quiet room. 20 years sure, she says, letting the dress pool at her feet. David's eyes darken as they roam over her, taking in the black lace that's the only thing between them now. You're so beautiful. He breathes. You've always been so beautiful. He reaches for her then, his touch reverent as his hands map the curves he's dreamed about for 2 decades. Emma arches into him, her skin hypersensitive to every caress, every brush of his lips against her throat. I want to memorize you, he whispers, against her collarbone. Every freckle, every curve, every sound you make when I touch you like this. His mouth follows the path of his hands, and Emma's knees go weak. She's dreamed about this about him, but reality is so much more intense than any fantasy could be. David, she gasps, her fingers tangling in his hair. Please. But before he can respond, before they can cross that final line, his phone buzzes again. They freeze, the spell cracking but not breaking. Don't, Emma breathes. Please don't answer it. David looks at the phone, then at her. Conflict written across his face. It might be important. The moment hangs between them, fragile as spun glass. This time, Emma makes the choice for both of them. She reaches over and turns the phone face down, silencing it completely. Nothing is more important than this, she says fiercely. Nothing is more important than us. Not tonight. The smile that curves his lips is pure heat. Come here. She does, and the rest of the world falls away. Dawn, 20 years later. Finally home. Emma wakes to sunlight streaming through rain-washed windows and David's arm heavy across her waist. For a moment, she lies perfectly still, afraid that moving will shatter the dream. But his breathing is real against her neck. His heartbeat is real beneath her palm, where her hand rests on his chest. The delicious ache in her body from their night together is beautifully, perfectly real. Good morning, he murmurs, his voice sleep-rough and intimate. She turns in his arms, studying his face in the golden morning light. His hair is mussed, stubble darkening his jaw, and he's looking at her like she's something miraculous. How do you feel? She asks softly. Different. He traces a finger along her bare shoulder, raising goosebumps in its wake. Like I've been holding my breath for 20 years and can finally exhale. She knows exactly what he means. The constant low-level tension she's carried, the awareness of something missing. Something just out of reach has vanished completely. In its place is a deep, settled contentment she's never experienced before. No regrets, she asks, needing to hear it. Only that it took us so long. His thumb brushes across her cheekbone. What about you? Instead of answering immediately, Emma props herself up on one elbow, studying his face. Do you remember what you said to me that first night, after we danced, when we were walking back to the dorms? David's eyes grow distant with memory. I said a lot of things that night. You said that some people spend their whole lives looking for their person, never knowing if they'll find them, and others get lucky and find them early. but they're too scared or too young or too stupid to recognize what they have. I remember. His voice is quiet. You said you hoped we'd be smart enough to know the difference when it mattered. Took us long enough. Emma laughs, the sound bright in the morning air. We were always going to need 20 years. We were too stubborn to make it easy on ourselves. David's hands slide into her hair, pulling her down for a kiss that tastes like coffee and forever. So what now? He murmurs against her lips. Now we figure it out as we go. Long distance at first, while Grace and Connor adjust. Weekend visits when we can manage them. Phone calls and texts and video chats until we can be in the same place. More permanently, that could take years. We've already waited 20. What's a few more if it means doing this right? David's smile is radiant. You do that. Wait while I figure out how to blend our lives without breaking my kids' hearts, David. Emma's voice is serious now, weighted with 20 years of love finally given voice. I've been waiting for you since I was 22 years old. I'm not going anywhere. The kiss he gives her then is desperate and grateful and full of promises. Emma loses herself in it, in him, in the future unfolding before them like a map to treasure. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, David rests his forehead against hers. I love you, Emma Chen. I've loved you through to decades and to marriages and 100 almosts. I'm going to love you for the next 20 years and every year after that. I love you too. David Matthews, past, present, and future, all of it. Outside, the storm has passed, leaving the world washed clean and gleaming. But inside room for 118, Emma and David are just beginning their real story, the one they've been writing one day at a time. For 20 years, finally ready to fill in all the blank pages between. So, Emma says, tracing patterns on his chest, what do we do about June 15th next year? David grins, that boyish smile that first captured her heart 2 decades ago. I was thinking we might be too busy to meet. Oh, doing what? Celebrating our first anniversary of the day we finally stopped being idiots. Emma laughs, the sound rich with joy and possibility. I can think of worse ways to spend our future June 15th. Just promise me one thing. Anything. Promise me we'll never take the long way around again. No more waiting. No more almosts. If we want something, we fight for it. If we have something to say, we say it. If we love each other, and we do, we love each other out loud and proud and without apology. Emma seals the promise with a kiss, pouring 20 years of patient love and infinite tomorrows into the sweet connection of their mouths. Deal, she whispers against his lips. No more long way around. Through the window, the city awakens to a world made new by rain and possibility. In room for 118, Emma and David hold each other close, no longer bound by calendars or fear, finally free to love each other not just for one day a year, but for all the days to come. 20 years of almosts have become a lifetime of yes, and they're just getting started.